Spider-Man Last Hunt premieres on January 29th only on LewisFilms. You can watch the official trailer in the description below. In today's video, I'm going to be counting down my top 5 wants for MCU Spider-Man 4. But before we do get into that, if you are new around here and enjoy all types of Spider-Man content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button to not miss everyday uploads from 7 PM UK time. With that being said, let's get straight into the video. Number 5. Osborn's to be introduced. Now this is a bit of a controversial one because I know a lot of people are saying how can that be possible when Oscorp doesn't exist within the MCU. However, they could just do a time jump in MCU Spider-Man 4 where Norman has climbed the ranks of the industry and ends up making Oscorp into a famous business. And that way we could introduce Harry Osborn when Peter goes to college, and we could introduce Norman Osborn as the overarching villain of the brand new trilogy. And this could be a really cool story because it could be like Peter trying to stop Norman falling from grace and having him then become the Goblin anyway, meaning Peter failed. This story would work really well and would automatically give it emotional stakes after what happened in No Way Home. They could also do some really cool stuff with Harry as well, having him be the new Ned in the story. But how they would handle both of them and then with Ned and MJ as well, I'm not so sure, assuming that Ned and MJ are actually still in the movies. Number 4, Scorpion to be the villain. After Homecoming, Scorpion was a villain that I thought was completely wasted. After him almost getting set up for Far From Home and then obviously eventually Mysterio taking that role, I'd really love Scorpion to be the villain of this movie. He is actually the first Spider-Man villain in the MCU that actually has a vendetta against Spider-Man. As we know, the first 2 villains of the first 2 movies were more out on getting vengeance on Tony Stark than Peter Parker himself. However, after the end of Homecoming, Michael Mando's Scorpion is really out for Spider-Man, and this could be a really good way to have a Loki villain and really ground this college trilogy. Number 3, the inclusion of Black Cat. Now this is only something that's come to my attention very recently. However, I think that Black Cat would be a very good character to include within the next trilogy. As we know, everyone has forgotten who Peter Parker is, and Black Cat's character overall is more attuned to around Spider-Man than Peter Parker. Her whole point is that she loves Spider-Man, but she doesn't love the person who wears the mask, i.e. Peter Parker. So I think this would be a really cool story to introduce Black Cat here, and then have that kind of idea of no one knows who Peter Parker is, and just the Spider-Man side that everyone remembers to be enhanced through a character like Black Cat. Number 2, Peter money problems. Now this is something that I'd really like to see in this movie because it's something that we haven't really seen in Homecoming and Far From Home. And yes, they live in a shoddy apartment, and Peter in No Way Home said that they're still broke. However, it was never an idea that was fully explored in either of those movies. So I'd really like to see in this movie them really knuckling down on the idea that Peter has no money for food, he can't pay his rent, he doesn't have any money to repair his Spider-Man suit, he needs to go to college and he needs to pay tuition fees. I think all of these things combined could create a really cool side story where Peter has no money. And I really do think it's about time that MCU Peter Parker really does grovel in those types of deep and underlying stories that we didn't have in the first trilogy. And don't get me wrong, I didn't mind them not having that in the first trilogy because it was very light-hearted and upbeat, and he was in high school and he was just a kid. But now that he's getting to adulthood and he's taking on more responsibility and we're kind of feeling the weight of that character more than we ever have, I think knuckling down on really serious topics is perfect for this trilogy, and I think money problems is one of those ones that we should get. Number 1, I know this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but more MJ Watson stuff. Now, as we know, after the end of the last trilogy, Peter said that he would come and find her and tell her that he loves her. Now, a lot of people are saying in this trilogy they should move on to another love interest, i.e. Black Cat or Gwen Stacy seem to be the 2 most popular ones. However, I do think that MJ should still be the main love interest going into these movies. After all, what was the point of their relationship in Far From Home and No Way Home? It wouldn't really make much sense when this emotionally staked story has already been built up between MJ and Peter. And personally for me, instead of building a new relationship that can be started from scratch with brand new characters, I think it's even better to have Peter long for MJ, knowing that he still loves her, but knowing that he can't have her. To me, if anything, that's more Spider-Man than anything we could ever get in the next MCU Spider-Man film. I'd love to see them adapt the idea that MJ doesn't like Peter because obviously she doesn't remember Peter, but Peter loves MJ. And I think this would be a loose adaptation of the whole story of, oh, Peter can't have the girl because he's Spider-Man, and in this case it would work, because maybe they'd get close, but Peter knows that he's Spider-Man and MJ doesn't remember that Peter's Spider-Man, therefore they can't be together, because Peter would put her in danger just like he did in No Way Home. So there's a bunch of other things that they could do, and I think it's really, really cool that we're getting another MCU Spider-Man trilogy. But that is just my top 5 wants for MCU Spider-Man 4, and I want you guys to tell me in the comment section down below, what are your wants for MCU Spider-Man? Who would you want the villain to be? What do you want the love interest to be like? Do you think Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn could be introduced? Let me know in the comment section down below, like I did say. With that being said, thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. Make sure to hit the bell so you do not miss daily uploads about Spider-Man. We upload all types of Spider-Man content, including news and updates for all the movies and the games. I also do fan fictions on the channel as well. Also, Spider-Man Last Hunt premieres on January 29th, only on LewisFilms. I've worked very hard. That is my Spider-Man Minecraft animated fan film. Make sure to book that off your calendar so you don't miss that as well. I've worked very, very hard on that. With that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.